Okay, this meeting session is now being recorded. Good morning, everybody. This is Indira with the Iowa After School Alliance, and today we have a presentation from Chris Richards, who is a principal in Burlington. I will let him tell us a little bit more about himself, and he will be presenting today on creating websites and sharing some helpful resources and tips. So I'll turn it over to Chris.
Good morning, everybody. So when they talk about website design, sometimes people feel like they're walking in a maze. But website design is an easy thing, very quick. There's so much out there in resources now and free stuff. It doesn't cost you a thing. I'm going to walk you through some stuff, but the big thing that you can do as website design is it's good for the children. It's a great way to share your info. They are very easy. They are fun. It's enjoyable. It will cause a change. It gives you a little tech, and you can instantly get your message out there. So what makes a website? A website is broken down into basically three things. You've got a domain name, which is where you find it. I'll get into that. You have your web hosting, and that's kind of an easy thing to talk about. It's where it's stored. And the hardest part of all of it is just making your website. And it's almost like doing scrapbooking or putting together a photo album, whatever you want to do. It's that easy. It's just done with technology via you actually holding a piece of paper in your hand. So the domain name. The domain name is just a simple website address. It's where you find everything. So anytime that somebody says they'll give you a domain name, or they want to know your domain, they're asking for your address. So like, just like a street address, anything you've got, it just comes out there. The harder part that of course is occurring now is that domain names are harder to come by because there's so many websites out there. So when you're looking for a domain name, you kind of got to get kind of creative. Like example, as you can see, my domain name says Chris Richards 74. There was already a Chris Richards website, so then I added the 74 to help get my domain name. As I said, this is how people find your website. The majority of free website creators will host your domain for free. That means you don't have to pay anything. There are some stuff out there where you can pay people to host your site, which then helps bump it up into things. Usually about a $5 fee, that kind of stuff. You can get your domain hosted somewhere else. And as I said before, there's a lot of websites out there, so finding your unique and a name that people can find is the tricky part. The web hosting. Hosting is where the website's stored. So it's wherever it is in the cloud. Example, the website that I have that I use is hosted at webs.com. That's where my website is. The majority of the stuff that you can use, and I have resources at the end of this, it's all free. So it's things that you can do. There's no cost. The more difficult part that you run into is the advertisement, and I'll get into that a little bit.
Chris, there's a question here, and the question is, do I have to know code to make a website?
No. You do not need to know any coding features. These website people take care of it for you.
Great.
Sorry, I don't see those questions. So no coding is absolutely needed. I don't know code, and I've created mine. Website creation is a lot easier than it sounds. I know that it used to be a scary thing, and the question is asked about code, but all these places and resources I have in the end from Richard Bryan, they're all free sites. They all walk you through tutorials on what to do and all that stuff. It is very easy to show some of the things. I've taken a few snapshots from my website, which I created from webs.com. There's about 12 or 13 now free sites out there, but I use webs.com about 4 years ago now, I think is when I made mine. So the complications of free sites is the advertisement, and there is space limitations. Now, I have not run into any problems with mine. There's a little bar that says how much space you can use. But if you get into a lot of tricky stuff, it can be difficult. But the majority of the things you're going to be using, and I use mine for, space isn't an issue. So here's a picture of my home page from webs.com. As you can see, the yellow highlights here, these are all the things, my pages. So as I want things or pages I want people to see, they can click on the photo gallery, they can click on the home, the videos, the links that I share, contact info for me, and my calendar. So that's what my home page looks like. Your home page is the first thing when you pull up your website. Where does it go? What are people going to see? Try and keep it simple. You don't want to have overwhelming. As you can see, I kind of cut off a little bit, but you can see my head. So I've got a picture, some recent photos that were added, and keep that home page kind of light and inviting. What it looks like once I log in. So when I log into webs.com to get to my website, up here in the top, as you can see, I circled in red, it's edit website, manage pages, modify the template, and then there's a control panel. And then when you look over here, what I highlighted in yellow, these are all the different pages that I have on my website. So these are the things that I can edit and design. So these are the links that you saw on the first page. So inside of my website, each of these highlighted things is basically a link on my website taking you to information about my school or about what we do. Over here, you can see the edit, the view, the settings, protect, visible, and delete. When you are making a website, it's not out there until you say to publish it. So you don't have to worry about somebody finding it or coming across it until you tell it to go live. Adding pages to your home page. Again, if I want to add more pages, which I am recommending, don't get a bunch of pages. Keep it simple. Keep things that people can come, get what they need very quickly, and go about their business day. You don't want to have them to spend hours looking around for stuff. You just want to keep it simple and ready to go. But by clicking on add a new page, I can then create things. With your free site, as you can see over here, there's me, there's my account. With the free sites, they'll limit the number of pages you can make anyway, so it kind of actually helps me because then I don't go overboard with everything that I need to do to keep it simple. But again, you can see in here they make it very manageable, very easy. The add an application piece, if you had a Facebook page, if you had a blog, if you had a Twitter account, you can add those in so people can see it and find it. I don't play around in that realm much because then I keep that separated from my web page. My web page is mostly just to keep parents informed on things that are here, videos I share with the staff, that kind of stuff. I'll talk a little more about that. Things to consider. So when you're building your website, you have to think about basically these several things. Who's your audience? Who are you trying to reach? When I built mine, I'm thinking I'm trying to reach my community, my elementary parents, and their guardians, and that's who my focus is. So I got to think about what do they need to know. How to share. So how am I going to get it out there so people know that my website exists so that they know where to go look? How can I make sure that people know that I'm out here advertising myself? School assistance is a big piece in this. And being that I work at a school, I get the advantage on doing that with school assistance and helping you brand your message is very vital because we have constant contact with the parents. You have contact probably before and after school, but between what we can share to get the message out helps out greatly. Determining the pages you need, that's a big thing you got to think about because, you know, as I said with mine, do you want parent newsletters? You want to talk about a calendar or programs you got coming up, upcoming events. That's where you have to think about what do I need in my website? What do I want my parents to know, my guardians to know, or even the community? So what do I want them to know and how do I get them involved? Now, a website is a way to tell your story. That's the biggest thing that I always say, and I've heard in education. If we don't tell our story, somebody else will tell us for us. So what does your audience need to know? And I always think about, here's the people. What do I want the people that are on my right to know? What do they need to find out about? Again, I'm going to go back to keeping it pretty simple. Have your calendars, have your home page, if you've got links for kids to use during the school day, IXL, things like that the kids can use after school at these programs, any websites you bought into, you can put links in there so then people can go to one-stop shop. They come to your site, they can find all the pieces that their kids are working on at school or at home. It's a great way to get everybody involved. So how does sharing school assistance? They kind of come together because we have to be able to help out. Big thing that we can do is get a newsletter with the domain name. And again, the domain name is your address, so whatever the name of your website is, how people look you up. Kind of like if I'm going to go to your house, you're going to give me a street address. Well, if I'm going to go to your website, you're going to give me that domain name. The teachers can help out because they can place website and newsletters. So here at school, we send home, most of the teachers do a weekly newsletter. It's a great opportunity for you to get involved with the staff so that the teachers know who you are. So then the teachers help you out by placing information about your program in their newsletter. School website having a link. All schools have their own website as well as my personal website. My school has a website. It's a way for us to share things that happen at programs. So the link can be there so parents can come to my site, click on it, and then find your site. Twitter blasting. I'm a big Twitter user. It's a great professional development for myself. It helps me connect with people all over the place. I could spend hours talking about the value of Twitter as an educator. I know that some people get concerned or scared of Twitter, but I've been doing it now for about 5 years, I think, and it's probably the best PD. So coming from my own professional growth and professional learning, I don't like the word professional development. So my own professional learning, Twitter's been the biggest piece to help me grow as a leader and a person. Another thing, most schools have Facebook pages. So I've encouraged a lot of my staff, teachers use Facebook because our parents use it. It's a great communication thing. We've got a PTO Facebook site. So they can have your links out there for you so that people can find you and know your story. And again, I already kind of talked about that. I would recommend attending a PTO meeting, being in the position you're in, since you deal with our students in a before after school capacity. Let the PTO know who you are and what you do. It can make a big difference for you and your organization. Here are the resources I talked about. Richard Bryan is probably one of the best school resources that I have come across. He runs a website called Free Technology for Teachers. I made a link straight to his free tools for creating a website and simple web pages. It really is that easy. He's got all sorts of resources built in here for you to use, to go through. Everything you can possibly need. Here's where I got mine from. There's web.com. He is just a wealth of information. His main site is called Free Technology for Teachers. He usually does a blog post a day where he shares out stuff that he's created. And then another guy that is just amazing is Cyber Larry Man. If you have not found Cyber Larry Man, he is not just for teachers or everybody. He is for everything. You got parents, students, educators, general interest. His website is full of so much information, it'll make your head spin. When I'm looking for something, project-based learning or whatever, I go to Cyber Larry Man's site and I can search his website directly. And it comes up with massive amount of information. So he just has it all in one thing. I'll kind of show you a quick example so then you can kind of see how it works. But then all of these just bang. I mean, he's just got an amazing wealth of knowledge that can be used to do a lot of things. I'm very impressed by Cyber. In the amount of time he's retired, professor, teacher, the whole shebang. Now he spends his time basically doing this kind of for free. So he is amazing. So I kind of made that pretty quick and short and sweet. My Twitter is there. I'm at the @ Charge74. You can always tweet me to get a hold of me. Ingrid knows how to get a hold of me. Jackie Swink knows how to get a hold of me if you have questions or need help in doing this. I will gladly help. I have no problem taking time to walk you through doing a website because, as I said, it's a way to tell your story and get you involved in making sure that you are in charge of your message.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris, for that helpful presentation, and we appreciate you offering yourself as a resource to our 21st Century Network. At this point, I will go ahead and stop our recording.